Coming up on Mountain News this morning, nearly 80 former C Conn clients met in downtown Prestonsburg at the old courthouse. We will tell you more from the meeting. And one 2020 presidential candidate has brought in more than $18 million since entering the Democratic presidential race. And an explosion and fire at a chemical plant outside Houston yesterday sent thick smoke into the sky and forced people within a 1-mile radius indoors.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Well, good morning. It is 6:32 on Wednesday, April the 3rd. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. It's hump day and the weather is going to be nice, so you're going to want to make time to head on out. Let's bring in Brandon, who will give you a better breakdown of what to expect as we are halfway to Friday. Brandon?
Exactly. And getting closer and closer. Temperatures are going to go up. Unfortunately, conditions are going to deteriorate as we get closer to the end of the week. But let's focus on the good today. Let's take a look at satellite radar for the last 6 hours. And you see the time moving, but nothing else. No clouds really to speak of this morning, so that's some good news. Some visibility issues down into Harlan, so be careful. Some patchy dense fog around this morning, some patchy frost as well. A lot of folks there in the valleys in the upper 20s and low 30s, 40s on those ridge tops. Temperatures from state to border there. Paducah's at 43, Tri-Cities at 30, Huntington, Charleston at 39. 12-hour planner, 65 later on this afternoon, a mild afternoon under mainly sunny skies. The rest of the forecast is on the way here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, just 4 days ago, a significant ruling was made in favor of former C Conn clients who are still trying to get their disability benefits back. Yesterday, close to 80 former clients met in downtown Prestonsburg at the old courthouse. Attorneys representing former Conn clients let them know about the progress being made, that the redetermination hearings where many of them lost their benefits have been ruled unconstitutional. One former Conn client we talked with says after he lost his benefits, he was forced to find a job. Now that he is working again, he says the federal government is taking away a percentage of his paycheck to pay back the benefits that were given to him. If not for his son, he says his family would be falling apart.
He just got a job recently, you know. He's helping out too. If it wasn't for him helping out, I say me and my wife wouldn't have no food or nothing like that.
The only way last week's court ruling can change is if the United States Supreme Court decides to hear the case. Many at the meeting say they feel a sense of optimism they have not felt in the last 4 years of this legal battle. Well, Senator Bernie Sanders has brought in more than $18 million since entering the Democratic presidential race, all within 41 days. That first quarter haul exceeds that of California Senator Kamala Harris. She entered the race a month earlier and raised $12 million by Sunday's first quarter deadline. The numbers confirm Senator Sanders' status as a front runner in the crowded race for the Democratic presidential nomination. Well, the New Jersey hometown of a murdered college student gathered for a night of remembrance. 21-year-old Samantha Josephson was killed last week after getting into a car that she thought was her Uber. It was not, and the University of South Carolina's senior's body was found in a field near the suspect's home. Josephson's family returned to New Jersey Monday, where the community was waiting to offer their condolences. Well, police still want to talk to the father of a 23-month-old boy who died in a Laurel County fire. Here is a look at Vaughn Brock. At this point, investigators say they just want to ask him some questions. This is his son, Joseph. Joseph was found inside the home Saturday. Troopers say Vaughn Brock made it out alive. Neighbors told us he said the child was inside, but he didn't know where. He then took off up a hill behind the home. The visitation for Joseph Brock is from 5 to 9 tonight at the Community Harvest Church in Buckhorn. Brock would have turned 2 later this month. A funeral is scheduled for Thursday at the church. It starts at 11. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said they are investigating after La Follette police officer was involved in a shooting that left Leanna Renee London dead. According to the TBI, officers were responding to a home break-in call Monday morning when they encountered the woman who was armed with a handgun. The report said for reasons still under investigation, the situation escalated and resulted in officers shooting London. She died later at the hospital. The circumstances leading up to the shooting remain under investigation. Well, an explosion and a fire at a chemical plant outside Houston yesterday sent thick smoke into the sky and forced people within a 1-mile radius to head indoors. At least one worker was killed, and the blast happened at the KMCO chemical plant just before lunch, sending workers scrambling to safety under fences.
Transfer line is what initially ignited, and then an adjacent tank is what caught fire with isobutylene, and then an adjacent storage container next to that as well.
Now, the plant, which provides coolant and brake fluid products to the oil rig industry, is in the town of Crosby, just 20 miles northeast of Houston. The explosion followed a similar blast at a nearby chemical storage facility 2 weeks ago. Although no one was killed, 11 tanks caught fire and burned for days, raising concerns about air quality. Well, a potentially deadly disease among coal miners is surging in Southwest Virginia, and health officials there say new regulations could play a role in stopping it. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say 1 in 10 coal miners who have worked in underground mines in the last 25 years have black lung disease. Jackie DeFusco talked to local health officials who say young miners with less experience are being diagnosed with a more severe form of the disease.
53-year-old John Robinson Jr. is one of many miners in Southwest Virginia who risked their lives to keep the lights on.
I have a baby brother in the mines right now, and I don't want him to get what I've got and to have to live the way I'm living now.
He was just 47 when he was diagnosed with PMF, an advanced form of black lung.
My husband was a very hard worker. He worked anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day, 6-7 days a week.
You don't feel like a whole man, you feel like a piece of a man because you can't do the things you used to do for your family.
And today, local black lung clinics say they're seeing an increasing number of young miners coming in with cases like his.
You've got miners working 6-7 years, and even less than that, with the masses that are so huge. It's just mind-blowing.
Between July 2018 and February of 2019, 70 new cases of PMF have been diagnosed at 2 Southwest Virginia black lung clinics. Employees estimate that's triple the cases they saw in earlier years.
There was a decrease in the number of PMF cases after some dust regulations were instituted in the late 1970s. So we did see a decline of that, but we've seen a resurgence of that over the last few years.
Experts say that's because these days coal miners are cutting less coal and more rock, exposing them to more dust, including the toxic particle silica.
There's going to have to be more focus made on monitoring and limiting exposure of silica.
Currently, the federal government does not regulate silica exposure in coal mining.
Of course, the coal company, they argue that it's other factors other than the coal dust, and there's always that pushback.
That's why Brad Johnson, who's been helping local miners file disability claims for more than a decade, says it's critical to get screened for black lung early and often.
That paper trail is so crucial when you present these claims in front of the judges.
Now, experts say cost can be a barrier for miners seeking medical treatment. Clinic officials say they do offer options for the uninsured and underinsured. They are offering free scans today at Stone Mountain Clinics in Lee and Buchanan County in honor of Black Lung Awareness Week. Well, a big event this Friday is planned to help restock food pantries. Power Up the Pantry will be held in Hazard and Prestonsburg. From 6 in the morning until 6 p.m., you can drop off non-perishable food items, baby supplies, or monetary donations at the ARH Medical Mart parking lot in Hazard, or the Big Sandy Community and Technical College lot near the Science Center in Prestonsburg. WYMT is among several businesses, colleges, and local governments participating. Our time is now 6:40 in the morning. Let's send it on over to Brandon, who'll give you a breakdown on what to expect as you walk out the door.
It's going to be a fairly nice day as we start off this morning. We're going to see McKee looking pretty nice as you head out the door. Cold down in those locations, especially in those valleys, so be aware of that as you head out. A little bit of visibility issues as well, especially down toward Harlan, a little bit down toward Jacksboro as well. So some patchy, dense fog, an issue this morning, and some patchy frost. So give yourself time to get those cars warmed up and scraped off. We're seeing 20s and 30s down in the valleys, 40s on those ridge tops. So again, a fairly nice day overall. Headlines, a milder day ahead. ahead, a warming trend as we head to the next several days, and rain chances come back into play Friday and this weekend. Will?
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. We will have a pet from a local shelter here in the studio that you can adopt and take home in just a bit.